Hello and welcome to MedEvidence Articles, where we encourage community research and education with weekly articles. I'm your host, Benton Loeyball, and this week we're talking about what happens when the body loses more water than it takes in. Dehydration isn't a day at the beach. In the original Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, there comes a time when Jack Sparrow and Elizabeth Swann are marooned on a desert island with not but a single bullet between them. Luckily, it turns out the island is stocked with rum, which Elizabeth sets ablaze as a signal for rescue. This is probably the best use of the rum, as consuming alcohol exacerbates the most dangerous condition on a desert island, other pirates. Dehydration. Dehydration is when your body loses more water than it takes in. The average adult loses up to 3 liters of water per day passively through skin evaporation, breathing, sweating, and going to the bathroom. Exercise can increase this loss by up to 2 liters per hour. Our minimum daily requirements were originally estimated from studying castaways like Jack and Elizabeth, and generally adults need somewhere between 2 and 3.7 liters, or roughly 1/2 to 1 gallon, of water per day, with men typically needing more than women. Age and some neurological disorders lower our thirst sensation, which can lead to decreased water intake. We get around 75 to 80% of our daily water intake from drinking fluids, with the rest from the water content in foods we eat. Our body's water contains dissolved minerals that are electrically charged, known as electrolytes. It is important for the body to maintain proper balance of these electrolytes in its fluids to support normal body functions. The electrolytes most involved in dehydration are sodium and chloride, commonly found together as table salt, NaCl. These electrolytes also act like pirates, hijacking water from areas where concentration of electrolytes is low to areas where it is high, balancing the concentrations across cell membranes. It works through a process called osmosis. If I take a balloon filled with salt and put it in a cup of distilled water, the water will flow into the balloon and inflate it. Our bodies are around 55 to 65% water, with lower water percentages in older people and those with obesity. Around 2/3 of the body's water is found inside individual cells, called intracellular water, with the rest in places like blood, the spinal cord, muscle, and other tissue, known as extracellular water. A loss of about 2% of body weight due to water indicates dehydration. Water loss comes from 4 main areas: excessive fluid loss, reduced fluid intake, internal problems like sepsis or cirrhosis, and medications. Not all water loss is the same, however, and the amount of salt determines the character of dehydration. Intracellular dehydration is when we lose water without losing a significant amount of the dissolved electrolytes. This is also called dehydration with minimal salt loss, or hypertonic dehydration. Major ways to lose water without losing salt are through excess sweating, excess urination, diabetes, and not drinking enough water. This is what would have happened to Jack and Elizabeth in a few days if they weren't rescued from marooning. Intracellular dehydration leaves a plethora of salt in the blood, which commandeers water out of the cells. To fight this, the kidneys retain water, and neurological signals trigger thirst. Extreme intracellular dehydration pulls water from brain cells, causing delirium, confusion, seizures, coma, and possibly death. Extracellular dehydration occurs when water and salt are lost in roughly equal proportions. It may also be called isotonic dehydration or volume depletion. If Jack and Elizabeth had drunk all of the rum on the island, the inevitable vomiting would lead to extracellular dehydration. Other causes of extracellular dehydration include diarrhea, hemorrhage or blood loss, hypoxia or low oxygen, and certain medications. Interestingly, being in fresh water for extended periods of time can also cause extracellular dehydration. So if Jack and Elizabeth had walked the plank over a swimming pool instead of the ocean, they may have become extracellularly dehydrated anyway. With extracellular dehydration, water can't be taken from the cells using osmosis. The body reacts by shrinking the blood vessels in a process called vasoconstriction. The body also slows the replenishment of blood, retains water in the liver, and sends signals to increase thirst. Extreme extracellular dehydration results in a drop in blood volume, causing blood pressure and heart output to fall. In response, the blood may compensate by beating extremely fast, a condition known as tachycardia. Symptoms of dehydration include headache, fatigue, apathy, and thirst. Higher levels of dehydration can result in muscle cramps, weakness, neurological changes, and heart problems. Long-term dehydration causes problems with the systems that manage water regulation, including the kidneys. Luckily, the solution for mild to moderate dehydration is simple: drink water. As we now know, however, you may need more than just water. Intracellular dehydration may be relieved with regular tap water, but extracellular dehydration requires electrolytes, which is why warm chicken soup, full of salt, is so helpful after vomiting and diarrhea. Severe dehydration is responsible for around 1 to 3% of hospitalizations and requires fluids delivered intravenously. Overall, dehydration isn't a day at the beach, so remember to hydrate. Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of MedEvidence Articles. If you'd like to know more, all of our descriptions are linked in the podcast description below. You can also visit our website at medevidence.com. MedEvidence helps answer the question of who can you trust for medical information. The MedEvidence platform provides valuable information about many medical issues and the insights of evidence-based medicine. MedEvidence educates audiences through engaging and entertaining magazines, podcasts, videos, articles, and presentations. We strive to bring together diverse voices of top-level medical professionals, researchers, and experts to provide unique and engaging content that uncovers the truth behind the data. For more great content, including discussions by physicians and subject matter experts, check out the MedEvidence podcast. My name is Benton, and we'll see you next week.